got some oak over there. But yeah, not really sure what I'm gonna get into or talk about in this video. But I know one thing I did want to talk about is a topic I wanted to talk about is like trusting your gut. So, and also today I've already done my mowing for the week. I knocked it out early because I had a customer request some mulch. I'm not the biggest fan of doing mulch, but I'll give you a perspective. I had a plumber come out yesterday, and because I have a leak right where my water main is, or whatever, the little shut-off valve, the water meter area, and he came out, he measured it. It was like 75 feet to the house. Didn't even put a shovel in the ground. Nice guy. Didn't even put a shovel in the ground. You can see kind of where it's leaking at. And he is like, I'll give you two options. You can either replace it or I can repair it. And he looked in the crawl space and he saw that there's copper pipe, but I think it's polyethylene, that black pipe. That's what I think it is, but he said it was copper coming into the house, so he priced it like it would be copper. But long story short, it was about $3,900 for 75 feet of new pipe. And I told him, I was like I understand you need to make money and stuff like that, and you know, you're a plumber, you're the expert, you know the prices. I don't, but for that pricing, I could buy a whole new mower, or I could go rent a ditch witch and figure it out myself, you know. But so long story short, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of mulch. But sometimes you gotta suck it up and do what you can. And if it's a job you can do, you know, I only have a 6.5 by 12 trailer. So if it's a job I can do with that, then I'll price it out, you know, make it worth my time. I won't, you know, tell the customer's business and tell you how much it is, but all you do to price it out, you can get a measuring wheel, or you can go online and measure it, you know, via satellite, or you can measure it with tape measure, whatever you want to do. You just measure it out, figure out the cubic yards that you need and how thick you want it. So this one, it's only going to be about 1.5 inches because the guy already has mulch. He did the mulch last year, so it's not that much. I don't need that much mulch. So 1.5 inches thick, and say, just hypothetically say it's 100 cubic yards, you know. Then you type it in. They have formulas on Google and even on mulch websites if you know a good mulch, you know, place. I think even Home Depot has it, guys. But then you just figure out the math and then how much mulch you'll need. Maybe get a little bit more than you need, you know. Say it's 2 scoops of mulch will cover that amount, you know. Maybe get 2.5 or 3, you know, just to be on the safe side. Or you can try to do it, you know, run it thin. But I try to be safe. I'd rather have a little bit extra that I could fill in, you know, make it look really nice instead of thin. So, and then all you do is figure out your man hour. So say you want to say your man hours, hypothetically it's $50 an hour, right? Then you you know, want to multiply, you know, say it'll take 3 hours, you know, that'll be $150. So that's what you would want to charge the customer for your labor, and then plus you charge the customer for the mulch, the price of the mulch. And then if you have a business, you're a contractor, they should give you a mulch discount if you get it from a reputable place. But that's how I price it out. It's pretty simple. The thing that kind of gets hard is for me, if it's a really big job, I will kind of turn those down, because I'll have to make multiple trips. Then the chances of you making a miscalculation on your math is greater, you know. So it's more risky, and I don't have the capacity for it because I'm a one-man show, you know. So I'll see if I can get a video down there of them dumping the mulch on my trailer. Hopefully they'll let me film it. But yeah, I hope everyone's doing good. I will oh yeah, I wanted to talk about, I'll probably talk about it later, but I wanted to talk about trusting your gut in this video too. So like say you've never really cut down a tree, right? Which I've cut down small trees. But say somebody wants me to cut a 24-inch pine tree down. You have to figure out if that is something that you are capable of without hurting the person, their property, hurting your property, or you. You know, you have to figure out what your line is, you know, and you want to be right under that line. You don't want to be right on top of the line of your capacity. And this is just me, my experiences, what I've experienced. I'm not telling anyone what to do, but you got to figure out the line. And then see, me, what I would do is if a customer wanted me to cut that down, or somebody wanted me to cut that down or something, I would say, hey, you probably need to get a tree company. Yeah, but Alex, you know, they would say, yeah, Alex, you do such good work, or whatever, we want you to do it. Then I would maybe try to work my way up to that size tree, you know, and maybe get some experience first. I would crawl before I walk, right? The trees are nice over here. I don't know what these are. I think they're some type of dogwood, the purple ones. It looks really nice. I enjoy them. But yeah, let me get, I'll resume my chat when I get done with this, when I get this mulch loaded up, guys. That's a regular ground. They have a triple shred, but that's already pretty, to me that's pretty shredded. I don't mind that. There you go. Alright, that's what we got. Pretty stuffed. So the regular ground, I fit 5 scoops of the fine ground before, but I think the regular ground takes up a little bit more space. Yeah, and I don't think I did a thing on trusting your gut, but it's pretty important to trust your gut, because your mind might say like, yeah, you know, and you think your body could have the ability to do it, but your intuition, which is, your gut, is trying to tell you, hey, it's trying to steer you in this other direction. So I always try to listen to it. It's never really steered me wrong. It may seem like the wrong thing to at the time, but long term it's right. And then I always try to take myself out of the situation, like put myself in a different, put myself in someone else's shoes, or try to get a different perspective on the situation, step out of the situation, if that makes sense. But yeah, I always try to trust my gut. It's something I wanted to do. When I was working for somebody, I wanted to start a business. That was what my whole gut was. Oh, sorry, I'm just checking. I'm not making sure I'm not losing any mulch. I'm not. But that was my whole thing. Every time I'm going to work, it's like I'm thinking about, how can I start my business? Why am I working for somebody else? Nothing wrong with working for somebody else, or nothing wrong with the employee that I had, but it's just I had an itch, and then it just was something telling me that I needed to do something. And plus, I'm a believer in you should always follow your dreams. If your dream is to, I don't know, be, own I don't even know, maybe open a restaurant, that's your dream, and then everyone around you is telling you, don't do it. Restaurants don't even make that much money. Rent is crazy high, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, well, try it and see if it works. You got to be smart about it so you don't put your family out, or, you don't end up homeless. But there's no point. You would be in the same situation if you didn't try than if you failed. So you might as well just try if that's something you want to do. That's pretty nice. I definitely wouldn't want to mow that, but it's nice. But yeah, or if something, I'll give you another example. Say say your brakes are bad on your truck, and you're going around driving because you're saying, I don't have the $300, $400, $500 it's gonna cost to get the brakes, and then you get in an accident because your brakes are horrible, right? You didn't listen to your gut, because you can find a way to get $300 to $500. But yeah, long story short, definitely trust your gut, because if you're trusting your gut, you're listening to your intuition. Mind and your heart can kind of steer you wrong sometimes, or might make you turn a blind eye. So, but if you listen to your gut and listen to all the, listen to your heart, listen to your mind, and listen to your gut, make a final decision, you should be a-okay, guys. So that's my recommendation, and that's what I try to do. Now, are you gonna be wrong, or am I wrong sometimes? Yeah, it happens. You just gotta adapt and overcome. So, no biggie. Don't stress out about it. We live a beautiful life. We can fix stuff. So yeah, let's get to this mulch. Let's get to this property and start mulching it up, guys. Stop talking. I'm talking. Why do you talk so much? I don't know. All right, guys. Here's the bed number 1 with mulch. You can see it already has pretty good mulch. There is some weeds in there, so I'll probably pull that as I go. I'm not going to charge them for that. And then here's this bed here. Goes down. It's already quite a bit of mulch already down. So it's probably like an inch of mulch. And then this bed in here. There's some leaves tucked in there. I'll probably get those. Leaves are tucked in here. And then this bed, not a lot of mulch, some clippings. Not a lot of mulch in here. So I'll just do the best I can because it's, you know, this juniper is kind of sprawled out way in through here. So just make that look good, even though it's got a bunch of leaves. So yeah, not a whole lot to do. And I'm wearing my dovetail so I don't get sunburn on the back of my neck, because I always do. But yeah, let's get started. So I'm gonna use a shovel. Would be better if I had a like a pitchfork, but I don't. And then I have my little, I'll show you guys. I got my little gorilla cart, so I'll be doing that. That's how I do it. But wheelbarrow would work better. But this is really low to the ground, so it's easy to load. You just have to load it more, but it's okay. But yeah, let's get started. And I don't know what kind of footage I'm gonna get, but I'll do what I can. But I'm trying to knock this out. Alright guys, this is what I'm working with here after. There's still a lot of leaves in there. You know, that's just from, this is a new customer, so that's just from over the winter time. I blew it out when I came and mowed as best as I can, but it really could use like a spring cleaning. But this is what we got so far. Sticks here. Hopefully it doesn't wash away too much. I tried to kind of give it like a little worm going around, you know, and then fill it in. But it looks pretty good to me. Let me throw these sticks over here. Throwing them in the old natural area. Let me show you guys the other beds. Oh, and if you guys aren't subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel, like it and share it. Or if you have anything to add to it, definitely comment below. But then I got this bed. I put it in a little extra over in here, just because it's kind of it was kind of sunk in. But yeah, it looks pretty good. And then I filled over a old stump, so that's what that is. And then a piece of trash I got back in there near the house. Here. Looks pretty good. And then up in here, I try not to pile it too much onto the house. It was already up here, so I just put a thin layer and then kind of put it thicker, like thin against the wall and then thicker under it. And then I went all the way to this area, which that didn't have any mulch, so now it looks kind of more consistent. And then here's the front bed. Pretty nice. It turned out pretty nice. Took 3 scoops of mulch, so more than I thought. That's why I always get a little bit more. Get a little bit more than you think, and you'll make happy campers. So yeah, took me about 3 hours, so not too bad for the amount that I charged. So I appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys are having a great day. And if this helped anyone, I hope so. If you have any other tips or tricks, you know, I'm sure I may do it different than you guys, but we're all here to enjoy the YouTube world and learn from each other. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Talk to you later.